Alright, parade's starting to get into town. We're about fifth vehicle back. Almost in the middle. Throwing candy to kids and stuff. It's like a regular parade. Just getting started. Alright, parade's getting into town, throwing candy out at the people. Oh, he quite hitting them. And there's people out taking pictures and video. All that good stuff. We're about 5 vehicles back or so. People are singing music up in the pickup truck. Just take it nice and slow with the animals, get a picture from outside. To the rear. See, there's quite a trail behind us. Animals and other vehicles. Let's get it out of the wind. Lots of people stopped up at the intersection. And the kids love candy. So they planned ahead. Oh, still gonna use the stop sign. Whoa. Kids scrambling for candy. Alright, be back.
With the ranchers, and after we done some meetings out in Lander County and Pete Camara took us on some tours, that's when we seen them starting to back off some of their heavy-handedness. So let's make sure that they don't interfere with our constitutional rights, because I don't feel that the government has a right to declare the Constitution of the United States null and void except in a cattle pen. Thank you. Here we have Grant Gerber, the organizer of the Grass March. He's got a few things he'd like to talk to you about.
I think I'm a little sore. I don't want to talk very much. We started out at early this morning and rode from Elko, and we're going to saddle up here in a few minutes and head on without mountain. We've got to make it another 15 or 20 miles tonight, so we don't have to go too far to Battle Mountain. But I wanted to tell you what I think the situation is. We decided that we were going to use the First Amendment, and that was the key. And we started with a petition. That petition now has hundreds and hundreds of signatures, and we're getting more today, and we intend to continue to get more and more signatures. Can you hear me? So that was the first step of the First Amendment. Then we had the grass tour, and at the grass tour we had 200 people that got to see what was happening to the Filipinos, the Tamaras, and Marilus. They now know those 200, and they're spreading that word out there, and it's working. So that was the second step. The first was petition. The second was assembly. That was the second step of the First Amendment. And we were speaking. That's the freedom of speech. We got the press fair. That's the fourth step of the First Amendment. But probably the most important, undergirding and overarching all the rest is the fact that we've been praying for relief. And I believe if we work at it, we use those 5 steps of the First Amendment, we are going to succeed. From here, we're going to ride out to Battle Mountain. There's going to be a rally in Battle Mountain. Then we're at 4:30 on Wednesday. We ride out of Battle Mountain, going 120 miles, making a stop in Winnemucca on the way, spending the night in Lovelock. Then at 4:30 in the morning on Thursday, we'll ride out of Lovelock and down through Fallon and on into Carson City. Now, every rider will take about 5 or 6 miles and then trailer up and go to the head of the line. And if anybody knows anybody else that wants to ride, we still got some holes. But we're filling them in fast. The Jared Sorensen family is coming with 3 of them and 6 horses, and they're planning on hitting it hard. So we expect that we're going to get more people signing up as we go. Any of you that know anybody down the line, we'd sure appreciate it. But whichever, we're going to make it. We got 2 more horses loaned to me by Rex Steniger. That makes 5. And my son and I and others, we're going to go all the way. Now, I want to make it clear to you that, in my opinion, this may not solve it. So what are we going to do next? Well, we haven't decided. You got any good ideas? We are not going to quit. We're going to keep going until Doug Furtado is gone and the BLM changes their approach. And if you all decide to do everything that you can, we can make it work. I just want to end by saying that my son Dallas suggested that we name this ride that I started this morning out of Elko the grass march, to follow what Gandhi did in India. In India, the British government would not let the Indian people make salt, buy salt from anybody but the British government. And so, as a result of that march, over 60,000 Indian citizens were thrown in jail. It was a peaceful operation from the Indian standpoint. The British beat them, incarcerated them, but they would not quit. Well, for Nevada, the federal government has 87% of the land, and in places like the mountain that the Tamaras and Filipinos run their cattle on, 50% of the land is owned privately. And that's all the way across the state. So in effect, what you've got is about 92% of the land, of the grass in Nevada, is controlled by the federal government, and we cannot allow that to happen. So therefore, we're going to change it. And this is where is the way we're going to do it. We'd like all of you to get involved, and have a lot of fun doing it. We're going to use the First Amendment to do it. Thank you.
Still wait on this. Are you ready for it? Let's go. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, let's help this lady come home. Let's give her a big hand. Thank you, Tara. That was a great run. Have you got a time on it? Okay.
Hey, Rex, how are you?
Okay, go ahead. This is Elaine Simonson. You didn't get a time on the first one. Come on, Elaine, let's go home.
What you're doing?
My name's Theo Dowling, and I'm from Northern California, ranch country, and I worked in D.C. for the public land livestock grazing industry for a couple of years, and before starting to write for Western Livestock Journal. And when I first heard about this story, I remembered that we had worked on some drought policy issues in Nevada a couple of years ago, and this is all that I am commissioner for Utah back. We hired Ken Ivory. Ken Ivory helped us put it together, and we now have 5 states that have passed legislation of various kinds that are moving toward that movement to transfer the lands to the state. Jamar Dahl would be here today, but he's been the last week here, and we've now gotten one eastern state to join in with us, and that's South Carolina. We're working on Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas and 2 or 3 others. We think they're going to That's exactly what the western states did in 1829, because 90% of the land at that time of Indiana, Illinois, Missouri was federal government, and they got rid of them by exactly the approach we're taking. We hope you join us.
Good, last bronc ride. Let's stick to that horse like Obama sticks to Obamacare.
So I'd just like to say I think it's terrible, the things that the BLM is doing to our neighbors over in Battle Mountain, and I can see where it wouldn't be too tough that they could start doing the same thing wherever we are. So if we stick together and keep ourselves educated on the process and keep up to date on what's going on with the legislatures, keep up to date what the bureaucrats are doing, I think we ought to be able to beat this thing fairly well. Thank you. I'm Doug Hernandez, and I live over here across the street.
Doug is an employee of the TS Ranch.